Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Shankly Sessions, the Liverpool podcast we bring you each and every week on the upper tier. If you could do me a favour and smash that subscribe button, hit the bell notification to be notified, and of course, drop a like on the video if you're watching the content. Liverpool nil, Chelsea nil. Um, Not really what I was hoping for, but probably what I predicted and probably what I expected. A drab, dull, typical mid-table affair. Um, let's be honest here. There was a couple of highlights in the game, but most of the game is absolute pony. Um, Mainly focus on us. Our blatant disregard for the importance of the ball, and of keeping the ball and of possession and of using the ball instead of stupid passes into no man's land. Stupid half passes that don't even reach teammates, resulting in needless fouls given away. Throw ins where we don't even find a man. And literally as blunt as be damned up front. Um, it's perplexing at the moment. The drop off has been monumental. This is biblical proportion drop off here. We have gone from nearly winning a quadruple to being mid-table obscurity and a laughing stock in the league. We have players there at the moment that are just simply not putting in a shift. And it begs the question, and it's a horrible question, and it's a question I put to you, the chat, and the Liverpool fans. What do we think has happened? What has gone wrong? Have these players checked out? Is there a 7-year curse? Is everything that's going on off the pitch with the purchase stroke investment absolutely derailed us? Are these players more concerned about off-field stuff than what their jobs are on the pitch? But the drop-off has been monumental. And this was such a poor game. First half, absolutely shocking. At home, at Anfield, a stadium full of people who have paid really good money, some of them, huge money, some of them, to be there to witness that. And once again, I call in question these players and their attitude and their performance, and currently what they're giving back to such a loyal fan base. And it's just really frustrating at the moment. It's frustrating to watch. It's frustrating to see players that are so much better than what they're showing, labouring through the simple basics of football, like playing a pass, moving the ball quicker, some sort of counter-attack, the lack of press. And I'd ask this question, and I know it's a difficult one, but can someone tell me when's the last time Mo Salah challenged for a ball that's played up to him? He's literally a bystander when balls are played into the fences in his area. I can't remember the last time I seen him head a ball. I can't remember the last time I seen him challenge for a header. And I just think it's getting now to a stage where not only is it disappointing, because it really, really is, but it's getting to a stage now where it's borderline embarrassing. And it's just for these players who are being paid serious money, and details came out the other day. Our wage bill is quite decent. These guys are being paid good money. And they're absolutely shocking. They're absolutely shocking. And the options off the bench are even more shocking. And the fact that we come alive at home, this is at Anfield, at home, with 20 minutes to go, we come alive. We had a massively poor display in the first half. And the second half, the same 11 jog out onto the pitch, like nothing never happened. Forgiving FC, you know what I mean? We just let the same 11 jog out onto the pitch. There's no consequence, no issue. Just jog out there and more of the same. Then we bring on Darwin and he changes it up somewhat, creates a bit of chaos in there, Captain Chaos. But we're so lame. You know what I mean? I look at Mo Salah and he looks like the puppy that someone dumped on the edge of the side of a motorway. He's just sitting there, lost in it all. I look at Gakpo. I think he's played 3 games now, I think it is, or been involved in 3 games, and hasn't shown anything. Hasn't shown anything. I see Mudryk come on for Chelsea, and straight away does an impact. Straight away you can see what this boy is about. I'm very unlucky not to score a really good goal when he skipped by 3 of our defenders. And I'm just wondering at the moment, I'm going to put this question out to the chat. It's not something that I believe, but it's something I think that we should address. Have these players checked out on Jurgen Klopp? I see Jurgen Klopp at the sideline. I see an intensity. I see a lot more intensity in our technical area on the sideline than I see on the pitch. And I'm just wondering, is the message getting through? I'm just wondering, like, what is the plan? And this was such a huge game today. So the draw is a disaster for both teams, really, because it doesn't really change anything in the league. It just leaves us both still in mid-table obscurity. And again, pushes the opportunity back to all the teams above us to go out this weekend, get points, and set us even further adrift for any chance of, dare I say, European football, not even top 4. And I know some people in the chat will turn around and say that, well, we don't really want Thursday night football. It looks like at the moment that we don't really want anything. We don't want anything to do with football at the moment. And it's a real struggle out there at the minute. It's laboured. It's disjointed. You know, I keep on talking every week about how we used to move forward as a unit. We used to defend as a unit and stuff like that. And it's all over the camp. It's just, there's players here, there and everywhere cropping up. There's wide gaps being left all over the pitch. And again, the options that are available to us at the moment are the options that have been getting picked on a regular basis and being so poor as well. So this performance and this result is not a surprise to me in any way. It's been typical of our performances this season. And we are miles off it. We are miles off it. And if anyone out there thinks that Jude Bellingham is the answer, you need to wake up. Because we need a whole flood of players. We need to be doing what Chelsea's doing in the market, but obviously in a more structured and planned way. But we need serious investment in that squad. And a lot of players there at the moment, at the end of this season, need to be shown the door. But it's a real concern at the moment because there's no real, you know, until the shit hits the fan, there's no real reaction typically on the pitch. We got a slight reaction today when we made some changes, but we are so far off it. So far off it. And as bad as Real Madrid at times are playing at the moment, we are in for a pasting when that game rolls around if we don't have players back. And we've got now 10 days. We've got 10 days to try and fix this situation. I can't believe the situation I find us in. We've got 10 days to fix this situation. And if that doesn't change in the next 10 days, then clearly this is what we're going to endure for the next 5 months. And it's going to get real toxic, and more toxic than it's got already. Looking at a fan base at the moment that's fighting with each other, that's fragmented. We've got a coach in Jurgen Klopp who somewhat looks bemused and lost. And we've got players on the pitch at the moment that just aren't rocking up and aren't showing up. And it's frightening, the drop off in these players. Let's take some comments. Acers, how are you, my friend? Happy Saturday afternoon. Both squads were shocking today. It's crazy to think that after last season. Drop off is ridiculous. Morris back in, just checking in here in work. Draw no good for either team. Totally today, really, absolutely. Acers back in the comments. I think most of the Liverpool players have given up after the title in Champions League. Next season, we finish by Christmas. This season is, yeah, CR. Ian in the comments. What's the crack, Niall? What's the crack, Ian? Good to see you there, mate. Thanks for jumping on. But this has been just, I mean, I don't even know where to begin if you break it down man for man. You've got Alisson coming out and claiming the ball and making a few good saves. But then panic in distribution at key times. You've got a defense at times that was reasonably solid, but at times again, panic. You've got a midfield out there that's been shown up by Stefan Bietic, who has come in and been a breath of fresh air. And I was delighted to see in the lineup that the gaffer stuck with him. And then you've got a front line that's as blunt as be damned. I mean, they're just simply not in the game at all. And even in terms of dropping deep and trying to get into the game, they don't seem to have any ambition in that area at all. And I mean, that's the key message coming out of today's game. The key message coming out of the game today is really the lack of intensity, the lack of simple, basic football in terms of, you know, having respect for possession on the ball, not giving it up cheaply, not playing passes into no man's land, picking a pass, doing the simple things, pass and move. Our movement is trash. Our movement on set pieces is trash defensively. Our movement on our own set pieces going into the box is trash. There's no movement. It's all flat-footed. We've seen how easy Mudryk skipped through 3 players. So easy. Joe Gomez flat-footed looking at him going by him. And we were very lucky. We were lucky with the Havertz goal being ruled offside, or it could have been rinse and repeat of what we've been doing, coughing up early goals. Come on, Mouse. Stop going to sleep. How did Milner do it right back? I think he did all right, Morris. I think he did really, he was solid enough. He was competitive. He didn't give a huge amount away. Picked up a yellow card, as far as I know. Picked up a yellow card, and then I think when Mudryk came on, I think it was a bit too much for him. Yeah, he picked up a yellow card in the 66th minute. And then when Mudryk came on, he was a bit too much for him. And I think it was a huge expectation to expect him to deal with the boy with the pace that he has. So Trent came on. Obviously, they were protecting Trent because he'd been carrying some sort of a muscle injury all week. So I don't think they necessarily wanted to use him. But I think they had to counteract Mudryk coming on. And I think when Trent came on, I think it shut it down a little bit more. I know Mudryk, like, he did pretty good when he came on and stuff like that. But yeah, I think he did all right. I don't have a lot to complain about in fairness in James Milner. And what I do like about James Milner as well is at least he's vocal when he's on the pitch. But again, there's a lot of I would say on the pitch feeling sorry for ourselves. Like we don't. It was said there even in the commentary. Even when we don't get a throw going our way, you know, it's the biggest disaster in the world, and everyone's losing their head about it instead of staying focused on what their job is. Um, and the urgency then comes into the game. With 5-10 minutes to go, instead of the urgency being out there from minute one. We often say it: 100% concentration, 100% of the time, and we just look weak again. We're going out playing at home, a full packed Anfield. We haven't given them a whole lot to cheer about today. Very, very little to sing about. And like I said already, we have a team that's fragmented. We have an ownership that somewhat wants out, so that's fragmented. We have a gaffer there at the moment who I don't think is being listened to, and I don't think he's getting his point across. And we have a fan base that's fragmented. We have a team that's fragmented, and everything. There's just Liverpool right now is broken, and it needs serious fixing up. And I can't see an appetite at the club at the moment for doing it. I don't see players out on the pitch who want to take responsibility, both for the team and for each other. I don't see players out there playing for each other. And a lot of the criticisms that are coming across at the moment, I think a lot of it's being taken to heart at the moment by players in the club and stuff like that, and they're very uncomfortable with it, which I understand because they've been on a wave of backpatting for a long, long time now. And I don't think I've ever experienced such a sensational drop-off in both performance in all facets. I think when the younger players have come in, they've shown a little bit more about them. But we've a lot of players there at the moment just ghosting through the season and coasting through games and not really giving a damn. And a lot of that is to do with a lot of a lack of competition. So you're going to be picked. A lot of that is to do with the fact that we're carrying a lot of injuries. That's part of the problem. But it's so draining at the moment to be a Liverpool fan and to produce these shows and to try and come up with some sort of rhyme and reason why we can't go out there and perform. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the Chelsea game at Anfield's an easy game. It hasn't been, and it isn't. But they're playing really, really bad as well, and really, really poor. Obviously, they've brought in a few players that look very good, but there's still a bit of disjointment there and imbalance that needs to be fixed. But at least they're going out there. At least they're buying players. At least they're refreshing the squad. At least they're trying to put a kind of a stamp on what they want to do and take other players out of the game. We're not showing any of that ambition. We're really, really struggling. Some would say to the point where we're buying players that we may not necessarily even need. Like, you have to ask yourself, with a midfield in the situation that it's in, and we're going out and buying a Cody Gakpo, what is the plan? It's a strange one. But that Liverpool team that's out there at the moment, in every facet of the game, intensity, all-round play, desire, ambition, everything, is absolutely in the mud. And those players will leave that ground today, and they'll be back in training tomorrow or Monday. Like today never even happened. And there's people in that ground today that went up there and paid in excess of, probably some of them might have paid even €1,000 or pounds to be at that game today. And those people care more than those guys on the pitch at the moment picking up a wage. And that's the disappointing thing about it. It's weird. I can't even, because we're so bad, I can't even come on and talk about football within the game. Yes, a couple of moments happen. Yes, when Trent came onto that ball, he could have maybe stopped it, and he could have trapped the ball, and he could have not snatched at it and stuff like that. Yes, this, that, and the other. Yes, look. Yes, this. All these different things that we put out there. But the reality is that this team is majorly struggling. And it's rudderless. It's like a boat out in the ocean that's lost its sail. And it's just floating and floating and floating towards the rocks, and it's coming through a major crash. And at the moment, there's a hole in it, and it's leaking water, and it's about to sink. And there's not enough life jackets on the boat. So I don't know. That's my overall thoughts at the moment. Just when you can't retain possession and pass a ball, and you can't find your own player off a throw in, we've got serious problems. We've got serious problems when we can't even do the basics. Acer's back in the comments. Unfortunately, Liverpool won't be buying no more players, as Klopp has told media in every press conference he must be smashing his head off the wall in his office every day with owners. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure he's highly frustrated, but this is the man that came out and said the transfer window isn't the answer. These are the men who come out and go, training is our transfer window. This is the man who has picked players time and time again who don't show up and don't perform. This is the man who has hesitated to give youth the chance that it deserves. This is the man who has sat back and protected owners while we let a squad stagnate. So we can't give him a pass. We can't give him a pass. It's all one. It's all wrapped up into one, and no one comes out of this smelling the roses. Not even the gaffer. And we need to be clear about that. The time for protecting anyone at this stage is long past. That's as flat a performance as you'll see from a Liverpool side. A lunchtime early kickoff against Chelsea with an opportunity to move up the table, get a few points and stuff like that, and get a bit of momentum going from the Wolves game. If we show up to the Amex at the end of the month, Brighton will smash us out of the FA Cup. If we show up in the 2 games against Real Madrid like that, they will smash us out of the Champions League. And then what? Mid-table obscurity. Nothing to look forward to. A fan base that wants to absolutely rinse each other. And this is going to get real toxic. Moyes versus Lamps next. Yeah, absolutely. The highlight of my weekend has become the downfall of Everton. How sad my football life has become. Has Klopp become more stubborn? There's a question. I don't think he could become any more stubborn. I don't think that's possible. If anything, in the last 2 weeks, the penny has dropped and he might have become less stubborn, believe it or not. But it's taken till this stage in the season for that to happen. And I don't even know how to answer that, Morris, being honest. I don't know. Maybe it's a case, maybe he's checked out. Who knows? Ian in the comments, why is doing a bit of DIY at home, putting up new curtains? Better than watching the football, the football's poor. Morris back in the comments. Make sure she doesn't fall out the window if she irons them, pal. Oh, good Lord. I tell you, something comes in to brighten up my day, and it's certainly not football. Let's get into these player ratings so as I can spend the rest of my day being slightly more productive, as they say. Right, where are we? Alison Becker. I don't know. I suppose with Allison, it's a difficult one as well. Made a couple of saves. But again, at times his distribution just looked a bit chaotic and not controlled. And it creates that nervousness that you see, that nervousness at the back, that nervousness in the crowd. These outside of the foot sort of balls up the wing and stuff like that. And it's just creates a bit of nervousness where we need him to be Mr. Stability. He needs to be the guy that commands that box and stuff like that. And at times, when you see him punching stuff that he has to punch that he normally would catch, just a little bit concerning. James Milner, gave James Milner a 7. Put himself about first half, and and earned the applause from the crowd going off. Really put in a shift today. Obviously, as I said earlier, really tougher once Mudryk came on. And he picked up that booking as well. So we kind of didn't want to send him off, and he might have had to dive in on him one or two times. So, and that was a lot of it today. A lot of it was such a disjointed game, wasn't it, in terms of free kicks and stupid body checks and all this kind of stuff. Poor passing, leading to fouls being committed, leading to disjointment in the play and in the flow of the game and everything else. So yeah, from that point of view, poor. Konate, I gave a 6-2. Number of times today, having been kind of forced to go into midfield and having to pick up sort of things there and stuff like that. Solid in defence. Did like the cheeky lob that he tried to leak, the cheeky shot from the halfway line. But again, when you look at that, and this is what we often say, don't we? When the plan goes to shit and it doesn't go to plan, we start forcing things and doing things that we would never do. And when's the last time you've seen a Liverpool defender trying to lob a keeper from the halfway line? And that sums it up, what we're talking about here. No plan. Joe Gomez gave a 6-2. The odd time dropping a lapse in concentration and stuff like that could have created more problems. Mudryk skipped by him for fun. Momentum, it's hard to do that, a little bit better second half, and put in a good block on Ziyech. And I like the way that time when the Gallagher one was a good one for me as well, because normally he would dive in there, and I was thinking he's going to dive in here and give a penalty away, but he didn't dive in. He stayed controlled and stayed on his feet, and I like to see that, which meant that he was actually thinking at times about what was going on. Gallagher's quick movement there in the box, I think it was. Andy Robinson. Probably give a 6-2 as well. 6, maybe 7. Maybe didn't do enough to get into the 7, but 6. But defensively he was okay. He was at the heart of a lot of the moves in the second half and stuff like that. It getting involved, especially once Nunes came on and stuff like that. The play was a little bit better. The intricate play between them and stuff like that. But again, couple of interventions in injury time and stuff like that, but nothing. Look, there's nothing to write home about on these, and we're being generous here, Stefan Bietic, I'm going to give a 6-2. Decent at times, kind of slipped a couple of times as well. Which kind of looked a bit reckless. I don't know what was going on with the pitch today. There was players all over the pitch today, slipping and sliding all over the pitch. Not too sure what that was about. But didn't drop off as well when he was booked, which is what I'd like to see. Kept his intensity in there, even though he picked up a booking. Ended up getting subbed. But I wouldn't hold that against him, and I'd retain his place in the next game, because I think this is a boy now we have to stick with and stuff like that. I think his showing against Wolves was really, really good. His showing today was always going to be tough. I mean, he's in there, he's up against Jorginho and stuff like that. So it's a different level of opponent. And I'd like to see him start the next game as well. I'd like to see him getting a run in the team now. We need to send a clear message to these guys we've taken out of the team, that they're out of the team, not just for a game, not just like a trial period, that they're not good enough. Naby Keita, I gave a 5-2. Just hesitant all day. He put in a good pass, I think, the one to set up the Salah chance. I'd had one shot blocked. But just for me, it's just when you're playing players that don't want to be there, you're in serious trouble. Thiago, I gave a 5-2. I just think his passing today was disjointed. I think some of it was short. The amount of hospital passes today that we played is just for Liverpool. We built this famous great club on passing. Our passing and our movement, especially this team. And just the passing today was even laboured and short and everything, in the comments. It's our friend Morris. Get in there, you good fella. Absolutely. And Ian back in. Shout out to my brother-in-law, Jury, I hope I pronounced that right. He was another big time Liverpool supporter. Subscribe to the channel. Hopefully, yeah, absolutely. Love it, you know. Share the word, share the word, share the love. Yeah, but Thiago, I just thought like he's it's an interesting one for a guy who's an attacking midfielder. He seems to have to break up the play a lot more and do a lot more defensive work these days than what he does in terms of creation. But some of those passes he played into the middle of the park, some of those switch passes and stuff like that, they just kept on finding Chelsea players on no man's land and stuff like that. And I think just a little bit more care and attention on the ball in terms of retaining the possession and stuff like that will go a long way. Mo Salah, I give a 5 to Mo Salah, and I think I'm being generous at that. I just think Mo Salah at the moment now is just coasting through games. Doesn't seem to be offering us a whole lot. And unfortunately, we don't really have a clear option. I mean, Harvey was the option the other night against Wolves, put in a stellar performance. Should we have stayed with that? Are we brave enough to make that decision in the Premier League against Chelsea at Anfield? And if it backfired, what would be the ramifications of that, basically? But we're gonna have to show a little bit of ruthlessness in this squad and a little bit of ambition and nous. And Mo Salah is poor at the moment, really poor. I don't see him challenging for anything. I don't see him dropping back in to pick up the play. I don't see him challenging for any headers. I even don't see him running and dribbling with any real conviction. This is we're talking about Mo Salah here. This is the guy, this is, consistent golden boot guy. This is the guy who's, generally good for a goal in every other game or whatever it is. And the drop off is sensational. You know what I mean? He got that contract. I know we've sort of changed our formation a little bit. We've pushed him out a little bit wider and stuff like that. Well, maybe it's time we copped on and just pushed him back in. Miles off it. Cody Gakpo, I gave a 5 to as well. 2 wildfire shots and nothing else really to report. Seems a little bit weak in possession. Doesn't seem to have a whole lot of strength there in holding up the ball. Gets the ball taken off him quite easy. Obviously he's only in the group. He's trying to find his feet and stuff like that. This is his 3rd game. But maybe he needs a little bit of time out of the team and the spotlight off him before, his kind of introduction gets as toxic as what we had to go through with Nunez as well. Harvey today gets I'm going to give Harvey a 6. Didn't make the impact today that we've seen against Wolves. And this has been the story of our season, hasn't it? A performance, lack of performance, lack of performance throughout the whole team. It's been a real struggle. So for Harvey, moved into midfield, which is always a bad move because we firmly believe that boy has to be more up front, that in midfield he doesn't impact the play as much, and quite often in those midfield positions at times can be a passenger and bring us down slightly. That's no disrespect to the lad, but I think when we play him in the more forward positions, I think we see a lot more out of the boy. Darwin came on for Keita on 63, gave Darwin a 7. Brought some drive into our attack, didn't he? Actually pushing us forward. Look at that lovely run in behind that time, in behind Thiago. Silva was a lovely little run. Unlucky as well. I think he just took a bit too long to make up his mind. I think he could have banged it earlier. If you look at the replay, when he picked up the ball, the goal on the right-hand side from when you're looking out to him was kind of wide open and stuff like that. We know Kepa was kind of a little bit of no man's land. He could have banged that maybe first time and maybe got more joy. Instead, he decided to take a touch, pull it wide, and then you're reducing the opportunity in terms of the gap in the space. And then I think when you pull it that far wide as well, you have to be looking back in to find the player, not necessarily taking the shot. But yeah, I thought if you go back and you look at it as well, I think he could have banged it earlier and he might have got some joy, might have got a goal out of it. But unlucky. Trent came on. Again, is passing a little bit all over the place. Just a little bit inconsistent at the moment, but sort of taking up positions kind of all over the place. You see as well when he takes the free kick and stuff like that. Minutes later, his space on the pitch is still vacated. he's still not back in his position and stuff like that, and very clever teams and quick teams, especially with a player like Mudryk, can take advantage of that and stuff, so something to be aware of. Fabinho came on for Bietic on 82. I don't think there's much to say about it, really. Curtis came on for Gakpo on 82. Not a whole lot to say about that either. Got into a bit of it with Cucurella and ended up picking up a booking. Not a whole lot to say about it. And Jordan Henderson came on for Elliott on 82. Had one cross went in, caused Chelsea a problem, but other than that, it was kind of like, let's all feel sorry for ourselves because we didn't get a throw in. But that sums up the ratings. The gaffer, I'm still a little bit concerned about and stuff like that. I'm not going to rate him and stuff like that, but I think maybe, when you put in a first half performance like that, I mean, you really need to make changes at halftime to lay down a statement. And I think the changes that came on 82 felt like a shoring up of the team rather than a going for it when you're at home. Obviously, the options are very, very limited for him and stuff like that. But I think he could have probably, I mean, if I'm right, I just want to check this before I get into it. Let me see. Yeah. Options were really, really limited in what he could do. But I think, you have to go for it, don't you? You're at home. You have to go for it. You need the 3 points. I mean, even if we lose, we're down a point. But sometimes you have to roll the dice and you have to try and go for it, And I just think today we just didn't go for it. I think with about 10 minutes ago, I think we had settled for the draw. And I think that's a really bad sign as well. A really, really bad sign. I know we created a little bit and we pumped some stuff into the box and stuff like that. But I think at that stage, Chelsea were settling for the draw. And I think the point for Chelsea is a much bigger point than the point for us because we were at home. But we roll on. I will, of course, see you Monday for the Monday mashup at 9 o'clock, where we'll be dissecting down all the results, giving our thoughts on the latest news and transfers and stuff like that. And be interesting to see how some of those transfers fare out over the weekend. Thank you for joining me on the show. As always, if you can, subscribe to the channel, like on the video, and hit the bell notification. We will talk to you again real soon, Reds. You will never walk alone. Let's see where we go from here.